There's a certain kind of silence that follows people with social anxiety. Not the peaceful kind, but the one that hums right behind your heartbeat when you're standing in a room full of people, pretending to be okay. You laugh when everyone laughs. You nod when someone's talking. You hold your cup, your phone, your jacket, anything to make your hands look busy. But inside, you're praying no one notices the tension living in your chest. It's like walking through a crowd wearing invisible armor, smiling, talking, blending in, while your mind is quietly whispering, "Don't mess this up." And it's wild because people think social anxiety is just about being shy, about not liking small talk or hating attention. But that's not it. It's deeper. It's this constant fear of being seen wrong. It's the worry that your words might land weird, that your laugh was too loud, that you looked awkward when you walked in, that everyone else seems to know something about human interaction that you somehow missed. Social anxiety feels like living with an inner critic who never shuts up. It's a voice that narrates every move you make, like a director watching you through a camera saying, "Nope, that didn't look natural. Try again." You replay conversations hours later, analysing them frame by frame, wondering if you sounded stupid or if they noticed the shake in your voice. And the worst part? It's exhausting pretending you're not anxious. You become so good at hiding it that people start calling you quiet or introverted, not realizing you've built an entire personality around being safe. Sometimes, people with social anxiety are not even antisocial. They crave connection more than anyone. They just fear rejection even more. Deep down, they want to belong, to laugh without checking if it's the right time, to speak without rehearsing the sentence in their head first. But that fear, it's like a soft chokehold that keeps you from stepping too far out of your comfort zone. It's not that you don't want to go to the party, it's that you don't want to be remembered for the wrong reason. Social anxiety teaches you to shrink yourself before anyone else can. You learn to monitor your tone, your expression, your presence, so that no one gets the chance to judge you first. It's the emotional armor built from years of fearing embarrassment. And the armor works, but it also isolates, because while it protects you from being hurt, it also keeps love, friendship, and spontaneity out. There's a psychology behind this, and it's not weakness, it's protection. See, social anxiety often roots itself in moments where you were made to feel small for just being yourself. Maybe it was a classroom where you spoke up and someone laughed, or a parent who corrected your every move, or years of feeling unseen, except for when you made a mistake. Your nervous system learned that being visible equals being vulnerable. So now, even as an adult, you walk into a room and your body reacts as if you're in danger, even when no one's looking at you. It's the body remembering old wounds, because social anxiety isn't a personality flaw, it's a learned response. It's your nervous system saying, "Hey, last time we were seen, we got hurt. Let's stay quiet this time." And that makes it heartbreaking, because deep down, people with social anxiety are often some of the most self-aware, observant, and empathetic souls out there. They notice things others miss: a change in tone, a glance, a pause. They read emotional energy like it's a language. But because they're so tuned in, they also overthink it all. Every tone, every glance, every pause, like a detective searching for what went wrong. Sometimes you sit there after a conversation replaying it over and over, analysing micro expressions that probably didn't even exist. But it feels real. Because in your mind, it's safer to overthink than to be blindsided. It's a quiet war between wanting to connect and wanting to disappear. You see someone laughing across the room and your heart aches. You want to walk over, to join in, to belong. But your anxiety whispers, they'll think you're weird. Stay where you are, and so you stay. You scroll. You stare. You exist on the edge of connection, close enough to feel it, too afraid to touch it. And you start to believe that everyone else has it figured out, that you're the only one faking confidence. But truth is, almost everyone feels nervous sometimes. The difference is, people with social anxiety feel it louder. Their self-awareness is turned up to max volume. It's like walking through life with emotional surround sound. It's not about arrogance or insecurity. It's about survival. When you've spent years trying to avoid being judged, you start to prejudge yourself first, just to stay safe. You become both the performer and the critic. You build a wall made of self-consciousness and then wonder why it feels lonely behind it. And it's funny, because when someone with social anxiety does speak up, it's often deep, genuine, raw. They don't do surface level. They go straight to the soul, but by the time they've built enough courage to speak, the moment has often passed. And so, they stay quiet again, watching life happen from the sidelines. There's a quote that says, people with social anxiety feel like the world is a stage, but they never got the script. That's exactly it. You walk into a situation trying to read the room, trying to pick up cues, trying not to say the wrong line, while everyone else seems to just be. But the truth is, you don't have to perform. You're not on trial. The people who matter don't need perfection. They need your presence. Still, I get it. It's hard to just be yourself when your own self feels like a risk. It's hard to relax when your body has learned that social settings equal danger. So instead, you stay cautious. Every word weighed, every smile calculated. And you leave conversations feeling like you ran a marathon. Because for you, even being normal takes energy. Here's what most people don't realize. Social anxiety is not just mental. It's physical. Your heart rate spikes. Your stomach twists. Your mind loops. Your body literally goes into survival mode over something as simple as saying hello. That's not weakness. That's your body trying to protect you with outdated information. Sometimes you can trace it back to childhood. Maybe you were the kid who got teased. Maybe your parents fought and you learned to tiptoe emotionally. Maybe you were punished for mistakes, so now you try to avoid making any. Or maybe you were just too sensitive in a world that doesn't slow down for sensitivity. You learned to anticipate judgment before it even happens. Social anxiety, at its core, is about self-worth. When you believe your worth depends on how others see you, every interaction becomes a test. You start performing instead of connecting. You hide your real thoughts because you fear they'll sound stupid. You shrink your personality to fit into small, safe versions of yourself. And over time, you forget what authenticity even feels like. But here's something people with social anxiety rarely hear. You're not broken for caring so much. That sensitivity, the same one that makes your heart race in a crowd, is also what makes you kind, perceptive, and deeply human. It's the same part of you that notices beauty in small details, that remembers people's stories, that feels things fully. You just need to teach your mind that being seen isn't a threat anymore. Sometimes that starts small. You say something even when your voice shakes. You make eye contact a little longer than usual. You let yourself be a little messy, a little unpolished. You stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be present. That's how healing begins. Not with huge confidence, but with quiet courage. And the thing is, people rarely judge you as much as you think they do. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves. You're analysing how you came off, while they're analysing how they did. Everyone's scared of being seen wrong. You're not the only one trying to pass the test. There is no test. The mind with social anxiety is wired for hyper-awareness. It scans for danger, emotional danger, in the form of rejection, awkwardness, embarrassment. But what it forgets is that connection also lives in those spaces. Awkwardness is human. Vulnerability is magnetic. People don't connect to perfect, they connect to real. And sometimes, the moment you stop trying to seem okay is the exact moment someone finally understands you. You know that feeling when you finally find someone you can be quiet around without feeling judged. That's what peace feels like for someone with social anxiety. It's not about crowds or applause. It's about safety. It's about being around people who don't make your nervous system spike. It's about being accepted even when you stumble over your words, even when your hands shake, even when your laugh comes out weird. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need the ones who see you, the ones who make your anxiety melt instead of multiply. Sometimes healing from social anxiety means forgiving yourself for all the moments you didn't show up, for all the invitations you declined, all the conversations you avoided, all the chances you let pass because you were scared. You weren't weak, you were surviving. You were doing your best with the emotional tools you had. But now, maybe it's time to learn new ones. You start by giving yourself permission to take up space, to not apologize for existing, to believe that your voice has value, not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. There's this paradox. People with social anxiety often fear judgment, but also judge themselves harder than anyone else ever could. You talk to yourself in ways you'd never talk to a friend. You call yourself awkward, weird, boring, labels that were never yours to begin with. But what if you softened that voice? What if the next time you caught yourself spiraling, you said, "It's okay. I'm learning. I'm allowed to be seen." It's strange how we wait for others to make us feel safe when sometimes that safety begins within us. When you stop fighting your anxiety and start understanding it, it loses power. Because the truth is, your anxiety isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that once kept you safe. It's scared, not broken. It just needs reassurance, not rejection. And I think that's the quiet beauty of people with social anxiety. They don't want attention, they want connection. They don't crave perfection, they crave safety. And once they find that safety, once they're around people who don't demand performance, they bloom. It's gentle but powerful, like watching someone finally exhale after holding their breath for years. Because underneath all that overthinking is someone who feels deeply, someone who wants to love and be loved, someone who notices the small things others overlook, someone who's brave enough to show up again, even after fear told them not to. You start realizing that maybe it's not about getting rid of anxiety, but about learning to live beside it, letting it ride in the passenger seat while you take the wheel. You still feel the nerves, the racing heart, the uncertainty, but you do it anyway. That's courage, not the absence of fear, but walking with it, hand in hand. And when you start to do that, when you start speaking even when your voice shakes, showing up even when you're scared, the world starts to soften. You realize most people aren't judging you. They're just trying to survive their own insecurities too. And in that moment, something shifts. The walls you built to protect yourself start to feel unnecessary. The armor starts to feel heavy, and you finally let it fall. Maybe confidence isn't loud. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's the simple act of not apologizing for being who you are. Maybe it's standing in a room and realizing you don't have to earn your right to exist there. Maybe it's knowing that awkwardness, silence, stumbles, they're not flaws. They're proof you're human. Because here's the truth most people never tell you. The ones who seem the most confident often have their own anxieties too. They've just learned to dance with them instead of hide. And you can too. One small step, one shaky smile, one conversation at a time. Healing isn't linear, it's layered. But every time you choose to show up anyway, you're teaching your mind something new. That you're safe, even when you're seen. You might always feel a little nervous before speaking, a little tense before meeting new people. And that's okay. You don't need to erase your sensitivity. You just need to stop believing it makes you unworthy. You are not too much. You're not weird. You're not broken. You're just human. Beautifully, painfully, wonderfully human. And maybe that's enough. Maybe the point isn't to be fearless, but to be real. To speak even when you tremble. To laugh even when it cracks. To live even when you're scared. Because sometimes the most confident people are the ones who feel the fear, but don't let it stop them from showing up as themselves. And when you finally do, when you stop hiding behind your mind's defense mechanisms, you'll realize something beautiful. You were never socially broken. You were just waiting for the world to meet you gently. So let it. Let the world see you, messy, nervous, imperfect, human. Because that's how connection begins. Not in the moments you feel composed, but in the moments you let your guard down. And maybe one day you'll look back and realize you were never too quiet. You were just listening for the kind of people who would understand your silence.